Welcome, Hubert from Querix, talking about Lycia low-code development platform. Hubert, I will give you the reins. And as I
Thank,
said, we are recording this, and it will be up on the IG website hopefully before the day's over.
Perfect.
Welcome, Hubert.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Yeah, my name is Hubert Hölzl. I live near Munich, Bavaria, married, my wife Angela, and I've got 2 children, Laura and Alex. I'm working for Querix now for 24 years as the COO. And within Querix, my role is more a kind of a technical manager. I oversee all software projects of Querix, product development, and also our customer projects. Due to my, let's call it extensive experience in 4GL development, which is about a quarter of a century, I'm also acting as the interface and as a consultant between our technical teams and our customers. Today, I will introduce you to our latest addition to our 4GL development suite, Lycia. It's called Lycia Low Code. Low code is pretty much a buzzword these days in software development. As we all know, there are not enough developers and there's too much work. So everyone tries to reduce development time and development costs. At the same time, they want to increase product quality. This presentation will be aided by a few videos and PowerPoint slides. The PowerPoint slides are not always in line with what I'm talking about because I haven't got the time to go into details, into depth really. This demonstration is targeted at 40 minutes. So for anyone who is going to get the recording from Bruce at a later time, the PowerPoint slides will help you to get a bigger picture and get a bit of deeper knowledge on the whole issue of low code and Lycia. So I switch over now to my desktop because this is my mobile phone, what you see here. And let's talk about Lycia low code. Of course, the first question is always, well, what is low code development? When someone told me we're going to do low code, was about a year ago, first I started Googling the entire web, what is low code? And there are many different definitions really out there. And funny enough, every vendor who produces some low code development platform brings out their own definition of what low code is. What you always hear is something like, yeah, minimum amount of code, as we always know in terms of rapid application development. Nothing has changed over the last 30 years there. And a visual approach to software development. Programming by painting, what I call it, by designing. Lycia is a low-code platform. So it is low-code platforms are used by IT professionals. You have to have technical knowledge, coding skills. No-code platforms, of course, anyone can use, anyone who knows what they want to produce. Very popular for mobile phone apps. Of course, the problem on no-code platforms is the application cannot do more than what the no-code platforms allows or caters for. Because you cannot go in and say, okay, now I start coding. You can't do it, I do something. No, that's the end of no code. In low code, it's really a kind of, it gives you a big framework with all the most common used things, and you can extend its functionality with standard coding. Also, what I noticed looking at many different low code and no code platforms, they're all really addressing new projects. Well, I work in the 4GL world now for, as I said, 25 years. Most of our customers have got tons, millions of lines of 4GL code and forms and C code. Classic low code, no code development platform doesn't help you at all. So this is why we went a different route to most low code vendors. The Querix implementation is really for existing and new 4GL projects. Existing means you can take existing application sources and either extend its functionality by using low code or replace code with our low code engine. Our low code implementation is also based heavily on the forms. So you design the forms, and the form has all information what the low code runtime engine needs to know how to interact with the database and with the form. And when you do the form and you run low code, you launch low code, you've got the whole base functionality there. Update, insert, delete, construct, it's there. You don't have to bother about it. So you save a lot of coding, or what also other people call copy and paste code, really. Lycia is not a code generator, other than things like in the 80s, what was it? I can't remember now, but there was another code generator. And interesting also foreign key handling. Lycia low code handles foreign keys excellently. 4chan, yeah, this was it. 4chan. We do not generate code. Code generators usually produce ugly code, non-maintainable code, expensive code. Lycia low code works at runtime. Everything happens at runtime. So this hybrid, what we do, where you say we can use low code, utilize low code in all existing applications, is a really big aspect of Lycia low code. Also because it's part of Lycia, is a high compatibility with classic Informix 4GL, BDS, dynamic 4GL, and all these pair forms. It can also be used here, this on a slide 4Gen, to rewrite 4Gen applications, because the basic work of the application is done dynamically, and all what you do is copy paste over your after field and after input, etc. codes. So this is just an example, classic 4GL on the left side, what you can do on Lycia. So Lycia low code is part of Lycia, which means also simply by compiling your sources with or without low code, you've got a REST application. Everything compiled in Lycia is a REST web application. Hot deployment. Whatever you update the application, you deploy it, the next user, you can deploy it in the live system. The next user which accesses the application will access the new application. System managers can control availability, security. Programs are containerized and use secure and encrypted communications. Load balancing, automated or manual, can be done with any standard tools. We even did a presentation on this for the IIG last year. Front-end customization can be done via cascaded style sheets or JavaScript. The application can be accessed using browsers and desktops. ESQLC is also still fully supported. You can also link Java and all the classical buzzwords, JSON, XML, hash maps, Java integration, messaging, streaming, all is done for you or available for you. Excuse me. So Lycia works, the Lycia workbench is VS Code. For people who don't know VS Code, you can really say now is the new industry standard for code editors. The last 10 years or 15 years we worked with Eclipse, which did a very good job, but has seen its days. VS Code is used by over 75% of all software industry companies, over 75%. And it has hundreds of code editors. In my case, I use Lycia VS Code just with a browser. All what I have got on my machine is a browser. The entire compiler, database, everything is in the cloud. When I log out, when I close my browser, start the next day, I'm back at the same place where I finished the previous day. So we start off with a simple example application. Simple application with two forms. Accessing a customer table has got some foreign key relation with other tables. And again, it's all in the cloud. This is our standard menu, which can launch programs or call functions. Can be driven with a static form or by a database. You see this low-code application, you see the standard toolbar, standard fields, has got standard functionality, combo list boxes is dynamic. You've got a blob viewer. Any blobs can be uploaded or downloaded out of the box. You see now I'm downloading from the server this image to the client, and vice versa. I can upload from a local machine a file. In this case, it's my little friend, my beagle Kipper, to the database. I could still cancel it, but I don't. When I accept it, that blob will be updated to the database. Can check it now. I just scroll forward and backward. Next record, previous record, you see it's already part. The cursor is refreshed. The beagle is in the database. Construct is also in with no code. Just click on it. It's there. You've got standard search, as you know from Informix 4GL. Construct. Interesting is also for the construct, Lycia works with widgets, smart widgets. What does it mean, smart widgets? Depending on the state of the application, a widget is rendered differently, like a combo box or a checkbox. You see now in a search mode, you've got different options, or a combo box. You can click and you can see, you can click multiple choices, what you want to search for. You still can go into classic text mode for your classic 4GL construct query. This is all standard Lycia functionality, by the way. No coding required for this. Delete anything critical, pops up with a dialog. User has to confirm if he wants to delete something. Insert new records, of course, is available for you. Well, that's pretty much it, really. Context menu. Yeah, of course, any program has got a context menu automatically. The main menu can be hidden, and the user always gets feedback of the cursor location. So this was the record view. There's also list view, works identically, really. List built-in feature is you have column sorting, ascending, descending order. You can collapse columns, and you can also resize columns at runtime. Standard functionality out of the box for you. No coding involved. Yeah, all these features, what we just saw, is there. So what work was involved to gain or to produce this application? We required two forms, one for the record view, one for the list view, and which can be done with a form builder and other tools, and pretty much a single line of code to invoke the low-code engine and linking the library, of course, to your program. So the low-code to link the library, you can do it in the 4GL by saying import FGL, or you do it on the 4GL project level to say I include a library with a program. And the low-code engine can be executed, launched in different ways. With the current form, again, we spoke about it, you can use Lycia low-code in existing programs. So if there's already a window open with a form, you can actually in your existing application call interact current form, and low-code will interact with your form, which is currently on the screen. You can call it with an argument of a form file, but most commonly you would use it with a settings record. There's a big settings record with many choices how you can configure your low-code runtime. So you see now the code. This is the code to run the record view. One line sets the form name. On the second line, I just call the function interact form to invoke my low-code engine. And this is, by the way, the list of this special settings record for low-code. You can operate in page mode. You can have as default input mode, input active. You can create a log file. You can toggle between pessimistic and optimistic logging, base SQL, top order, confirmation dialog box, translations. As I said, you can do multi-language applications, advanced combo boxes, navigation output. Everything is there for you, can be configured. So this was the 4GL function. And on the form side, we need a form. The form can be created with Lycia form builder. Also, you can generate a generic form using QForm. Important is on a form, if you want a form to interact with low code, it needs screen records. It needs a primary screen record, which tells Lycia low code what are the fields Lycia low code should manage. And then for each foreign key, you need one separate screen record. That's it. Otherwise, it's a standard screen record, standard form. This is the form we were just working on. It's a little application. You can see it. There's the blob viewer where we saw my little dog, the beagle. Here was the text area. And this is the workbench for the form design, really, where you can, let's call it spice up your forms. You can also look at your form in XML format. This is the XML format. You see here nicely again the screen records, the primary one for the main interaction for low code. And you see also the second one, the contact cont.org. This is for the foreign key, which links up with the company table, comp ID. As a contact cont.org is the foreign key. Then we've got the company ID. This is the primary key of the company table. And we want to display the company name in our combo box. You can have here multiple, it can be a list. So it doesn't need to be one column you show in the combo box. Look, foreign key management is very important. Another interesting feature is the conditional foreign key lookups. Classic example is you've got this contact form, you select the country, I select Germany. In the state combo box, I will only see German states. If I click United States, I will only see United States, and so on. So conditional, based on the form values. And also conditional based on 4GL logic. You can say if a certain value in that variable is in this range or has got that value, show me this and this and this menu item in the combo box, in the drop list. The display of the combo box, if you want to see the foreign key value and let's say the description text or just a description text or just a foreign key, this is just a class name. It's a configuration really. You just in the form say which one you want to see. It's nothing to do with coding at all. And let's show again just the combo box. As you see, this is completely done manually, automatically for you as a foreign key lookup. So now let's do the whole thing from scratch. How? Because this was a ready little program. Now we do it from scratch. We start off making a little program in our VS Codes studio. New program. We define the path. relative to the workspace. So the subfolder is hello low code, and the program will be called hello low code proc. You see at the top left is the workspace. On the bottom, you see the project explorer. There's the program hello low code. We add a 4GL file. Let's call it also hello low code. Another hello world. And we have got it. So this is the empty 4GL file. And next, we produce the form. For the form, we need to know the database, the table schema. We can look in the 4GL way of table schema. I can create this also with our own tools. We've got one called QExp to bring data and database schema from one database to another. In VS Code, I've got multi-terminal. So I also integrate my classic Informix DB Access. As you see, it looks like DB Access is part of my VS Code desktop. And I've got, so I can quickly check out my database here, my table, what I want. So any tool you have you use, you can integrate into your VS Code workbench. On the right hand side, you see these little cuboids. This is where you toggle switch between the different terminal sessions. Okay, it's enough now. Primary key, yeah. Okay. So I think it's a very handy feature really to have DB access within your development workbench. A feature what I really love. So next one, let's pause here. Now with this terminal session, I also use my QForm tool to create me a generic form. Because a long string, I just copy paste it in. So QForm is the tool called. I've defined the path where it should generate my new form, p minus p. Then the argument minus gen is for generator form, followed by what is the new form name. That's in this case my contact low code form. What database? Database name is CMS Lycia low code, and what table? There could be one table or more tables. And I also use a template for the generation, a grid panel template. And I say container detail 1, this is the container identifier where I want the new fields and labels to be generated. If I press enter, that's all what I have to do. And I have got this new file. Tick, here it pops up. It's in workspace now. My contact low code. This form is now in my workspace. You see the extension FM2. This is our native form format. Now we have to attach it to our FGL program. So in my FGL project explorer, I simply do a right mouse click on the program name. Click and say, add existing file, XML file. Select my file, what I want to add. And that's it. You see the form, my code, my contact low code is now part of my little program. I can also open it with my form builder from here. Form builder is also a part of our VS Code extension. It's a graphical form editor with CSS support. It has got a native workspace explorer and a FGL project explorer. Graphical selection and positioning of form elements. You can size and position. You've got context sensitive attributes. So you click on an element right now and it will show you in the property panel its properties. Excuse me. You've got a structural form element tree, which shows you the structure of the entire form. You've got a widget and container palette to place your widgets, your elements, and you can configure the design area for full screen or dialog mode. this was a quick summary. So Lycia is our terminal window. This is the generated form now. You see it simply pulled in the database columns as fields and labels. And I also customized it for integers. It produces me now text fields. It uses spinner widgets, and for blobs, byte, and text, it uses blob viewer widgets. It also generated the screen record for me. You see the primary automatically, didn't have to do this. So this form is actually already compatible with low code. We test this now. Ugly, yes, because it's out of the box, but it already works. You see the contact, this is the blob viewer. So in the 4GL, we have to feed it now with this form and invoke it. We were lazy, let's copy paste it. So you see a huge amount of 4GL code, call interact form file with my form file name. And again, you can also feed or use it as an argument the low code settings record with any configuration you want of this list. It's big. So let's launch our little dummy test program. Well, dummy, it's not really dummy. It's just a fully working program. Run. You have to build it, deploy. Again, VS Code does it for you. Right mouse click and run as web application. You see, applications on the screen, but it's fully functional. It has got everything what you saw before. Yeah, we don't have to go into more details because it's really the same, just a different form looks. So we can also open it again in Form Designer. Normally now you could put some designer on the form and say, okay, make this form sexy, spicy, look good looking. So people can change this form now. You click on an element, you can change its property. As a basic example, we changed the label text, label property of the 3 labels. You can reposition, you can delete, rearrange. You can nest containers, have containers in containers. As containers, we offer border panels, grid panel, table, stack panel, coordinate panel. I don't know if I already said this, and a nice range of widgets. You see here, click on it on the design area. Sorry, wrong one here. And I can delete it in my form structure view. This is just messing around really to give a bit of an idea. Oh, but yeah, interesting for the units, the Lycia forms, the unit can be done, or you can enter pixels, you can specify percent, you can specify characters. Very important when you bring over a legacy classic 4GL application with bare bombs, and you've got REMs. So what else is here to show? Minimum length, let's just make this column a bit wider. Yeah, the blob. We bring the blob over to the right-hand side to give it more space. So for this one, for this exercise, we append another row. This is where we want to have it on the top right. So we will create or add a new column. Let's click on it. Let's see, click on the plus button. We have got a new column. Give it some dummy width, 111 pixels. You see it, it's there. I drag and drop my label and my blob viewer over. Now I want to resize my blob viewer widget, but I want to actually span it over multiple rows. So I go into my layout, property, grid item location, click. When you see grid height is 1, let's make it 5 rows. 5, and accept, done. And you see my blob viewer widget will have a height of 5 rows. And this is enough really for the demo. I think the layout is fine. Don't have to do more now. So I changed the dummy of 111 pixel to something more sensible, 15 rems. Okay, the form is done. Build, deploy. Now the form is on our application server. We run it. And we see it now with the blob on a new location. And you see the different labels, the changed labels on the top left side. As already mentioned, basic functionality is all there, the low-code engine. All what we work on is how to design the layout of our applications. Let's search for all bees. You see construct works, bee, bang. There's the Barney, and we have got who else have we got in the family? Bang Bam, very nice character. What Lycia low code also does very nicely, it does, well, it is safe. So when you delete, the user has to confirm it. When multiple users save a record, the same record, you get your warnings, it stops you. And you can even be extreme, you can even say pessimistic row locking if you want, but default is optimistic row locking. So this was a single record view. To complete it like the other program, we also add a display input array form, a list view. It's the same what we did before, one-to-one, copy paste the same line in, just instead the form template with a grid panel, we use a form template with a table container. It's exactly the same. The target container is cont table, and let's create it. So you have to go up in the workspace view here. You see the newly generated table form. And now we have to bring it into our program. This time, insert XML source, insert. Oh, sorry, not insert, add source, XML source. And we've got our list form. Let's switch over to, so yeah, let's check the screen record. That's the important one always to check. And in 4GL, we need another call for the second form. And yeah, let's add a classic ring menu. Let's spare 1 minute. Let's add a quick generic menu on action record to have the detailed record view, the record form, and also an action for list with our table container, table view. And a third one to exit. As you see, still classic 4GL. Anything you know about 4GL helps you. Exit end menu. And we are there. Let's build. This is the whole program. This is the whole program. There's 2 forms. The terminal view always shows you the output of the build. There's also a problems tab, which would list you all the problems if some errors would happen in your code. Launch as web application. No, not build. Launch. Run as web application. Here you see what we had before. The record was before. And now we also have got a list view with our auto-generated table. Yep, out of the box, you can make it now pretty with form builder, but it has all the functionality, as we discussed before: sorting, collapsing, sizing, editing, deleting, navigation, construct. It's all there. You can even download, upload blobs, as you see. Shows you all the blobs. The search. Bit squashed, of course. And go. All contact names with M. And that's it really. So this is how long it took to have this little program with the full functionality. As you can imagine, I've showed this kind of demo many times over the last 6 months, and there were always two questions, always. Everyone asked me these two questions. The first question was, it was always about extending the business logic. What happens with my after and before field events, after input, before, what happens with all these events? Yes, it's fully supported. You can add it. When I show you this now, all what you do is, you say in the settings record, our famous settings records, the on action update. And so when I'm in an input for an update, edit, modify, add me the after field event for the field DOB, date of birth. And when this event is triggered, raised, call me the function validate date of birth. And that's it. So this is how I trigger the event after field. And in this, you see it here. Here. Yeah, insert is my sub dialog. I'm working in when I insert a record input. I can also have update. My event or action is after field for test 05 is my field name. Call this function. And somewhere in your sources, you will find this function. In this case, this function, I only do a display of the data. You see it also has as an argument a reference to iForm. Reference in Lycia means, well, it's a reference. You don't have to return it. You can directly modify the variable. It will be also changed in your main input. You don't have to return anything. So you can do this for any function, by the way. In out is the keyword for making a function parameter as a reference, pass it by reference. So again, let's build it, deploy it, run it. This little test program. No, not edit. Let's check it again. Insert. So not edit. It only if I want to edit, I have to would type here update. So insert new record. Append, by the way, is also an insert event, but you can specify it separately if you want. Test. So insert some test dummy data. AAA. Let's do something bad, BBB, but it will complain. This is standard Lycia, and now a correct value. It will trigger the after field event for test 05 and call that function. So, and the second question what everyone asked me is, I've got all these features available, but what is if I don't want someone to use these features? Someone should not be allowed to delete a record or modify a record. Again, it's a normal configuration. In the settings record, as you see here, the example, action on append. I hide now on append. Where I normally would place a function name, I say here null. Null means, okay, this doesn't exist. So choice is null, doesn't exist, or I specify a function name. And we can do this dynamically if user is of category user group, blah, blah, blah. disable, delete. We've got here an example. We disable this append. You see here the code. This would hide it, disable it. Let's comment it for the first run. Let me see how it would look normal. And you see there is a append button. Normal. Yeah, append. Okay, and going back. Now we uncomment this line. Do it again. Build it, deploy it, run it, click, and you see it's gone, disappeared. No longer append. There's no append button anymore. So these were the two most common frequently asked questions. We come to the end of this presentation. Summary of the Lycia code, features, big slide. You can read it in your own time, but basically it does all the common work for you. All the database interaction, the SQL, data consistency, multi-language translation, it's all done for you automatically. All what you concentrate is make the form, the presentation nice, and of course, your business logic. Feed it with your business logic. And yeah, of course, important again, I have to say this over and over again, you can use Lycia low code for new projects and for any existing project. It saves you time for any project. This is why you should really use it. There's no, so I makes no sense not to use it. Yeah, it's part of Lycia, and I only use it now these days. So thank you for your time, guys. And now you can ask me questions. Don't know how much I was. Yeah, 40 minutes, exactly 40 minutes.
Yeah, and Hubert, they should be able to unmute themselves now and ask any questions. And thank you for what you've given us.
You're welcome, Bruce.
Do
Has
we have
anyone
any questions from anybody?
I put something in the chat for you, Hubert.
Oh, chat. Okay, hold on. How do I do this? Because I share my screen here. Give me a second because I have to go over here. From who was it? Richard or Richard?
That's Art.
Art. Sorry, Art. Should have recognized your voice. It works for Informix. All other databases at least it was correct. Yes, any database. Sorry, no, lie, lie. At the current state, it works with Informix and SQL Server, Informix SQL Server. I can't tell you much user feedback on SQL Server because I only work with Informix, but this is the first primary databases for us. Well, primary database is really Informix. So, because of course there's always work involved for each database. That does not mean that when people come, need support for another database, will come, but our primary focus will always be Informix. Is it fine, Art? Let's see the second question. Is all of this in the currently, this what you see right now is in the current release of Lycia. Yes, current release is, because I don't know, only customers know this, we do bi-weekly updates. Every 2 weeks, Lycia is updated. We've got a download manager package where you click on and it will update your Lycia package. So yes, from the package I use today is from last Friday. What you need is a license. So Lycia low code has got its own license. Any other questions? You're welcome. Yes, the idea, so if you say different to the current Lycia Studio, I assume you refer to Eclipse. Yes, this is VS Code, but it's already available. We can already provide you with VS Code as it is. Main difference is Lycia Code, Eclipse was for your local deployment installation. You only deploy the application to the cloud. With VS Code now, you can have it locally or in your somewhere in the internet or in your private cloud or public cloud. It doesn't matter. So yes, it is available. Generic compatibility. Yes, we do a lot of work with generic compatibility. We always fight about this one because I always say no product is 100% compatible. So I give it let's call it a 95% compatibility with Genero, because everyone has got certain things which make no sense to support them. But yes, it is very much compatible. It's even with a wizard, you can even bring in, drop and pick and drop your forms, etc., your sources into Lycia to build the project. Your generic pair forms are supported, your startup files, your toolbar forms, etc., etc. It's all supported. How does the development environment support CI/CD? Give me help. Help me. What is CI/CD again? I think I'm getting old.
Continuous integration, continuous deployment.
Continuous deployment as in hot deployment?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. So this is what I mentioned in the slide already. You can, any live system, you can deploy your program, your output directly. Simply the next person who accesses it will have the latest version. And also mentioned, yeah, it's all container based, so it's very easy for you to do all kinds of gimmicks in the cloud with load balancing and co. Git integration. Yes, it's maybe, I don't know, can you actually see my screen right now? If not, I have to change something. Bruce, is my screen still visible?
Your screen's up there. Yes, it
Okay.
was.
Is it still? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, this is my browser live. As I told you, I haven't got anything installed on my machine anymore. I just use my entire for chill development, database, etc. on the cloud. And Lycia also has got a full, well, actually I would have to really, let's do some program. Give me any. Trying to just seen. More comments than code. Yeah, it's not a breakpoint here, doesn't matter. And you see now you've got here debug as web application. So it's the, actually did I do something wrong? It didn't stop, did it? Interesting enough, I don't know why it didn't stop.
Because you're doing a demo.
Because I'm doing a demo, exactly. What did I just show? Ah, for some reason. You see, full debugger, let's go into it. It's all there. These are your variables, watch points, the stack, the breakpoints, variables by global, module and local scope, and you can change them. So yes, VS Code comes with a debug interface. Let's go back to the questions. We need to migrate the development environment to cloud, centralized with VS Code. If you work with cloud and you start new, yes, I think VS Code is an excellent choice for it. But what is the question? Is it? Do you think is the question? Is it possible or?
I think he means can we have local installation rather than cloud installation, or do we have to always be on the cloud?
No, you don't have to be on the cloud. You can. VS Code can be deployed locally or in the cloud, anywhere really. Yeah, there's also, let's call it a desktop package, or you can do it with your browser. But if you work in the cloud, then use the browser version, of course, browser access. Does this answer your question, Hikesh? Don't know how to pronounce your name. Hikesh?
Yes, correct. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. As you can deploy it anywhere, your tools, whatever you prefer. Any more questions from anyone?
Thank you, Hubert. I hope everybody learned some things on your products. If you will kind of watch the IAG website, we do not have next month's Tech Talk set up yet. Hopefully we'll be working on it soon. And
Bruce,
as I said, yes.
Something that for everyone to know, we would soon set up a software as service where people don't have to do anything but just register and start using the product without any sort of like any other software as service that you see with other products that many people are now familiar with on the internet. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mehdi. Okay, and like I said, we will have these recorded and up on the website soon. And thank you all for attending. Hope you have a good week, rest of the weekend. Bye.
Bruce, thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone else
Thank
for
you,
joining
Hubert.
us.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
In my case, good evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.